one of the songs on my album is called Running, and the hook says, I keep on running, but my feet don't get tired. And it's important that we keep running, not from, but running to our destiny. Running without fear, running with love, running with passion, running with conviction, running with service, being of service to others, just running with joy in our hearts and beautiful intention to build our people.
I am proud to introduce my esteemed guest. He is a poet, an author, and an all-round great man, Jay Ivy.
My brother, man, it's amazing to be here.
It's amazing to be here in Ghana.
Yes.
Let's remind people where we are. So this is your first time in Ghana?
First time in Ghana.
How's it feel?
And it's amazing. It feels like home.
Home?
It feels like home, which is a feeling I haven't got many places before. So to be here on the motherland, taking it all in, it's incredible.
Well, let me hope you return many times.
Oh yeah, I'm back.
Yeah. So I suppose we should start from the very start. Chicago. Mother was a nurse.
Yeah.
Father was a DJ.
Yeah.
And I probably feel like that had some kind of influence on where you are right now. Yeah. So just explain to me a little bit about your childhood. Let's say from when you were born to when you were 10, what was going on?
Man, so at that time, I was growing up on the south side of Chicago. My father, he was on the radio. He was on a station called WVON. Did some smaller stations. And at the time, WVON was like the hot black station. This is mid-'80s, early 80s. So it was just growing up, beautiful, loving home, and trying not to get
dragged into the stuff.
There's a lot of stuff in Chicago. And the neighborhood was changing because now we were going into the crack era. So the neighborhoods, the loving neighborhoods that we lived in, they were becoming more and more interrupted by these other elements that were starting to take place. But it was dope. It was love. It was joy. It was the streets and the elements absolutely taught you and built you and put some grit into you. And as time went on, my folks started to get into it. Drugs and alcohol became a factor in my father's life. And they separated close around 10, 11 when they separated. And it went from this beautiful home to, man, what they had at,
This time you were going to Rich.
Well, this is before. So Rich Central's in the south suburbs of Chicago.
Okay.
So this is when we were still on the south side.
Okay.
And then later on, my folks, they got a divorce. And then my mom, she was like, you're not going to high school in the city.
Right.
So then we moved to the south suburbs. And that's when I went to Rich Central High School. Rich Central, what up? All the way from Accra. Yeah.
And what was the difference that you noticed, not just in circumstance, but what was the difference that you noticed in culture going from South Side to Rich Central?
I mean, well, the South Side was it was predominantly black. So everywhere you look, your neighbors, your teachers, the store owners, the entire community outside of the cops were pretty much black folks. So to go from this black bubble that we were living in to the south suburbs, it was definitely a lot more white folk, and black folk was starting to move. It was a mini migration from the south side to the south suburbs. A lot of black families were moving out to the burbs to get their children out of the streets and out of those rough neighborhoods. So it was a culture shock because I had never been around white folk.
Right.
So to be in classrooms with white folks.
Was that the time you realized you were black?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because well, no, I won't say we didn't think about it, because growing up on the south side, there was the police, and then there was an area called Beverly that we called the white neighborhood.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, we would ride our bikes over there, you hear about folks, our folks getting chased up out of there. They, so they were definitely areas. We were conscious of it, but I knew it was a difference. But we still didn't interact outside of like going to, maybe to a mall or something. You wouldn't really see white folks. So to be in classrooms and on buses and have neighbors that. So this is different. Yeah, this is different.
And then from there you went to Illinois. Was that a black or was that a white?
It's predominantly white school.
Predominantly white school.
Yeah, I went to Illinois State University. I was there for a year and a half, predominantly white. But that's where I really started to hone my skills and really started taking a deep dive into my craft and into my poetry. I started performing in high school, Everett Central. That's why I was introduced to it and where I realized that I had something. But it was at Illinois State where I really just, that was just, my mind was completely focused on poetry and getting on stage and performing and sharing my gift and just wanted to just wanted to share the art.
Right.
I loved it. So that passion was really driving me and my confidence in it was starting to grow. So I was really just going after it.
So what was the work between that and then being on Def Jam? Like, were you preparing for something, or you already felt like you got there by the time you were there, or you got there and then you were like, I need to do way more?
Oh yeah. When I got there, so the work getting to Def Poetry was hit every stage possible. So wherever I can go, I remember doing or hearing about this show. It was in Atlanta. It was like the Atlanta Arts Festival or something like that, and I wasn't being paid, but I wanted to be a part of this show. So I got on the Greyhound, took the Greyhound from Chicago to Atlanta, and that's a long trip on a bus.
Right.
To the Greyhound from Chicago to Atlanta. I get there just in time to do the show. I perform, and then after my performance, I didn't have money for a hotel. I didn't know anybody in Atlanta at the time. So I went right back to the Greyhound, got back on the bus.
Wow.
And it was the most liberating feeling ever. I felt like, I just won a Super Bowl or something. It was just incredible to have the opportunity to go somewhere else outside of Chicago and perform. But it was the hustle and the again, that passion just driving me to find any stage and any opportunity I could to present my art. So when I got to Def Poetry, I mean, it was always that feeling of there's something bigger. Like I know I was put here, and I was given this gift for a reason, and I know I'm supposed to be doing something with it. So by the time I landed on Def Poetry, that I always compare it to the Olympics. Like for a poet, it was like making it to the Olympics. Like here I'm on this
Super Bowl.
it was this incredible stage, this incredible platform. Millions of people watched it, and I was one of maybe like 30-something poets that were selected to be on that first season. So to go from that, years of hit every stage possible to get on Def Poetry.
Big stage.
Yeah, but then as soon as Def Poetry aired, I remember having that feeling of what's next.
Right.
Like no, this is not it.
Right.
Like what's next? So it was all, and even to today, I'm still like, what's next?
You're right.
I never get stuck too much in the moment. I celebrate it, but then it's always, okay, what else can we be doing with this?
Right.
So yeah, and then I just want to make to the earlier point of my father, my mother, my father being a DJ, my mother being a nurse. I always felt on that path. I learned and discovered that I was put here to use my voice to help heal people. So that was always like part of
the full circle.
Yeah.
So like the Holy Trinity, Mother, Father, Child.
Yeah.
And then your voice will be elevated in spirit. So when were you aware that there is a superconscious and a subconscious and a conscious? And how do you use your art to try and connect the three things, like, segue from Holy Trinity, Mother, Father, Child, to Holy Trinity, subconscious, conscious, and superconscious? As I'm sure you're aware, 90% of who we are is in our subconscious. Our conscious is there, and then the superconscious is everything. How do you use your art to kind of play between the places, and what do you think of consciousness as a state of being. You can talk about dreams. You can talk about anything you want to talk about, but just let the people know what your art how your art, you think your art is connecting this consciousness.
Yeah, well, for me, my art has been what has helped me realize those those levels of the consciousness and subconsciousness. Every time I'm able to tap in, it's I always say, I feel that as artists, our superpower is the ability to listen. So when I write, I quiet myself, listen to my heart, listen to my soul, listen to the ancestors. I listen to what's happening in the world. I listen to friends and family, stories I've heard. And me as a poet, my responsibility is to translate that, poetically translate that, to catch those dreams and get them on the page so later I can present them. So through my art, I've been able to realize that, okay, I'm a vessel. I'm channeling. I'm listening, and what I'm hearing is in my heart, but I know it's bigger than me. I know it's coming from a higher source. So it's always opened my eyes to poetry. It's always opened my eyes, and it's always been a learning lesson for me to get these words on the page and find new language that I wouldn't normally speak, but on the page, I'm tapping in, and I'm catching these dreams, and it's just amazing to see the stories unfold, but then also the growth that comes from that. And then so I'll write something, and then some time passes, and I'll go back and read it. I'm like, man, where did that come from? Like that's coming from a higher source. So it is always, it's like meditation. Like you tap in, and you just tapping into the source, and just translating as much as possible.
You tap in, and then you tap out, and when you tapped out, you realize how much you tapped in, and when you tap in, you realize how much you tapped out, and it's like a cycle.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
So like when you are there, you're on stage, and there's 200 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people. What does that energy then feel like? Do you feel like when you are performing, you're channeling spiritual energy, or do you feel like you're fully connected to the people, or do you feel like you just, we used to see Bob Marley perform, and you just see somewhere else?
Yeah.
How do you feel when you're performing? Or does it depend on the performance, or is it always
It's absolutely somewhere else. Like you feel the energy. Like the energy is what's powering the moment, but it's like not blacked out, but I'm absolutely just immersed in it. I'm immersed, so I see the people, but I don't see the people.
Yeah.
I feel the energy, but the words, they just take over. Even even my voice changes, and it projects. I project my voice more, and it's like it just transforms me, and I feel most comfortable on stage. I feel at home on stage, which is weird because not growing up, but coming up, when I first started performing, people were like, man, you totally different. Like, you quiet, laid back, chill, but then on stage, just and so it's again, I'm feeling the energy, I'm channeling, and it feels electric, like a rush of electricity, like I'm running track, or it just feel energized.
So I suppose that brings me to my next question. What does spirituality mean to you? Like, when did you first realize that you were spiritual, or you were of spirit, and what does it mean to you now?
Well, I realized it young. I realized that there was a higher being very young. I remember being on a road trip with my family. We were traveling back from Michigan to Chicago. It was like an hour and a half. And I remember hour and a half ride, and we were in the van, this minivan, my mother, my grandmothers, my cousins, and I think one of my aunts. and my brothers. I'm trying to think how many people's in this van. So,
We black folk.
Yeah.
That
We
was
piled
full.
in this van. But I remember we were in this storm. It felt like a tornado was nearby, and the van was just rocking. Like, it was just rocking. And I remember I'm like 6, 7 years old, and I remember just praying. I'm like, man, God, please let my family get home safe. And as soon as I said amen, the wind stopped, the sky cleared, the car stopped rocking, and we got home. Nobody knew I said this prayer. And for me, as a kid, it showed me that, okay, there is a higher power. Now I experienced that and throughout my life, through our connection. We're spiritual beings, and I feel that we're all connected. And I see that that spirituality flowing through us, through our art, through our conversations, through what we do for one another, to being able to come and travel to somewhere like Accra and experience just the energy and the love of the people. Like you feel that spirituality flowing through us. I see the God in all of us, and for me, my art has also been a huge reminder of that. Is being able to, ask for poems, ask for this for my poetry to be able to touch people, and then receive gifts that I'm able to present. And I see the connection, I see the impact, and it's beautiful to know that we are all connected in that way. And for me, I want to continue to raise that awareness, because I think we have amnesia when it comes to that fact, because we're all on our islands, and, and we move individually, but it's so much strength in us, and that strength is our connection through the Spirit.
How do you feel like the connection between people here and people, for instance, in North America, you go into Jamestown later, and the kind of the 400 years of I suppose forced separation, which is now being, the unbroken circle is now being healed. And how do you feel that relationship is now? Because for me, I feel like there's been no great time because of this digital revolution that's happening. Nobody can really lie anymore about Africa as, all the people who came and colonized and keep systems to try and destroy and stop that trade and that travel happening. People right now in Chicago can go on the internet and see exactly what's going on in a club in Ghana, or on the street in Ghana, for instance. So how do you feel like now that relationship is, and when were you first aware of your relationship with Africa?
When was I first aware of my relationship with Africa? Well, one, I'll start with, I feel like we are absolutely in a very special place, time. That reconnection it's been a long time coming, and to be here in this moment, to be a part of it, to see everyone tap into that same consciousness and that same awareness of the need to reconnect is special. It's special to see. It's special to be a part of. Even for me, who, if I'm not mistaken, I'm the first, or one of the first on both sides of my family to revisit the continent.
Wow.
So you think about, the history of us being stolen from this land and taken across those waters, and then everything we went through over the past 400 years, to know how many ancestors didn't get a chance to make it back home, to represent all of them, and to have an opportunity to return here is overwhelming. Like, even going to we went to Cape Coast the other day.
Oh, I cried when I was there.
Oh my God, I cried like a baby, and it was just, to know that, just to just even to smell the smell, to stand in those dungeons, to know that, my greats once stood there, and they never made it back home.
Right.
You know, that it's one, it shows the cruelty that exists in this world, the evil that exists in this world. But then on the other side, it also showed the resilience and the strength that we were able to survive. I have a line that says, "We are the descendants of survivors that dared to dance in the rain and say, 'Look at me shine.'" Like, we are the descendants of survivors. To know that they went through all of what they went through and survived, it I have a brand new appreciation for the strength of our people and the resilience of our people. So to be here and reconnect, to always be aware of my blackness, my brownness, my African descent, growing up. Because I'm a black boy and I'm black and I'm proud. So I was always aware, but there was this disconnect.
Right.
There was a huge disconnect. All they taught us was slavery.
Right.
We didn't learn our history.
Right.
So you start with, okay, we were slaves and now we're here, but then to make it here and start learning of the history and to stand on the land and imagine, okay, this is where we left from and now we're able to come back to it. It's man, I'm still processing it, but it's a beautiful feeling.
You will continue, because to have a disconnect to then have a reconnect is like a new energy. Now, our ancestors' bones have mineralized this land for hundreds of thousands of years. Our ancestors' bones have only been in those lands for like 8, 9, 10, maybe 15 generations. So there is a different electromagnetic energy here than it is there, because our ancestors are from here and our ancestors are only surviving over there and barely surviving over there. So like, I usually ask a question where I say, what would you say to your younger self? But I'm going to ask you a question now, seeing as you're here. It's pretty deep. I don't know how you want to answer it. What would you say to your ancestors about how you made it home and how you feel about being home?
Wow. I mean, thank you is the first word that comes to mind. I would just want to say thank you to the ancestors for, one, just having the strength to carry on. And I know my ancestors are still with me. Like my father, I feel my father's spirit with me all the times, and I know he's not the only spirit that's walking with me in this journey. So I would just say thank you. Like, thank you for the protection. Thank you for the guidance. Thank you for blazing a trail for my family to continue to walk down. And I would just continue to ask for that guidance. Like, again, it goes back to the what's next. Okay, we're here. We made it here. And while it's beautiful and incredible, it's what's next? Like, what do we do with this newfound energy and love and realizations? What do we do with it next? So I would just ask the ancestors to continue to guide and just thank you. That's the word that just keeps echoing in my mind. Just thank you for just having the will to survive.
Yeah, because a lot of people would say this expression, and I think it's really an expression that's based on kind of a capitalist idea of, black proximity to white money, where it's like we're our ancestors' wildest dreams because we're riding around in Range Rovers or whatever. But when you reach here, the humility that you feel and the amount of emotional, spiritual connection that you feel is like one you can't feel anywhere else, because there's, as I said before, there's not the bones there, there's not the history and the culture there. And so, sometimes I come to different places in Africa and I'm like, I wish, you know, my granddad could have been here with me. Like, I wish
Yeah.
that's the dream, you know?
Yeah, that's the dream.
But now I suppose for you, it's like, live the dream. You know, you've made it here. I'm sure you've received lots of love from lots of people because the culture here is, you know, it's not violent. It's very, very peaceful.
Yeah.
If you had any message to your brothers and sisters back in Chicago who haven't made it here yet, you know, they might be going to Cancun or going to Paris, what would you say about coming here to Ghana?
Oh, it's a must. You have to come here. Like it's like homework. It's like this is an assignment that that I would charge every African living in America, every Black person every person of African descent. I would charge them with the assignment of making sure that you figure out a way to get back home. And that's a message that I will be preaching and spreading, and I'm gonna have the good gospel with me. Like, look, Accra is where it's at, Ghana is where it's at, the motherland is where it's at. You have to get back home just to reconnect and rediscover your identity. Because you know, to be on this earth for as long as I've been here, it's amazing to feel that new sense of identity. You know, so however soon you can get here, like making a must. And we, you know, we're inventive. We find ways to do what we want to do. So so it's just a matter of people putting it in their consciousness and saying and making an effort, like, I'm doing this. So I would tell everybody, come to Accra, come to Ghana, come to the motherland, tap in. Like, it's so important that we tap in and build with our brothers and sisters here and at home. I feel like us building here will help us build home, and there'll be this continued cycle of us getting better as a people. That's when we will reconnect. Because over here, this has been one message that's been taught about us, and then over there we've been taught about motherland a certain way, and it's all false.
Right.
It's all false. So yeah, I would just encourage people to come and feel the love. Just it's one thing to tell people about it, but it's another thing to feel it and experience it on your own. So come experience.
Home.
Come home.
I mean, as you are a griot, and we've had griots in Africa since we could first speak. We've had the orators and channelers of spirit. How do you feel now that this is going to give you inspiration for your new works? And as you know, the conversation I want to have usually is just about spirit, and you know, the voice is spirit. How do you feel now you're going to be able to use your voice, especially with some of the people that you're connected with, to be able to create a project of, you know, reconnection and coming home? Because there's a lot of people right now who know your path, know your trajectory, know where you came from, and I want you to now tell them where you're going.
Oh, my job is always to create and connect and collaborate. So I'm looking to collaborate with artists this way, looking to build, just looking to be of service in any way that I can. And naturally, my best tool is my art. So however I can contribute, however I can build with artists this way. I've been meeting amazing poets and singers and producers in the short time I've been here. So I'm absolutely looking to do more of that. I had an opportunity to go to Rwanda back in 2017, and I did this song with this poet named One Key and Munyakazi Deo. This beautiful song called Finding Home in Rwanda. And it was incredible to, you know, me born and raised in America, to have an opportunity to do some work with a poet from the motherland and just have that connection. So my job is to continue to bridge the gap as much as possible, and just having the power of our stories and the ability to you know, put works together. I think that will allow me to help put those messages out there of not just creating beautiful art, but art that will help people realize that this is where we need to be building.
So you've had an amazing and beautiful career, and may it continue.
Thank you.
You just quickly, I want to speak to you about the project that you did with your daddy's records, and the project that you did around your father. Mm-hmm. How has you speaking through art to your father, and I'm sure your father was speaking to you through this from the spirit world, how has that shown you your own mortality and also shown you your own God?
Well, it's shown me that one, it's important that we heal. And I think that's another big point of coming here, is to continue to heal these wounds that have existed. And my relationship with my father was a part of this healing that needs, this generational healing that needs to happen. You know, he was traumatized as a child, went through a lot of things and grew up with this pain, and then that pain was passed on to me and my family. So for me, the poem that I wrote, the letter that I wrote to my father, it's called Dear Father. That poem, which later turned into the book, which later turned into the album, My Daddy's Records. That poem, it brought a lot of healing. This was after some time after he had passed away, and I was able to just tell him everything that I felt. And after writing that poem, even though there were tears on the page when I wrote it, I felt this weight lift off of me, and you know, that depression and anxiety and stress and the anger and all those different emotions that I would feel from our relationship that wasn't what I felt it should have been or could have been. It just lifted off of me, and what I soon found out was that our spirits, it don't die. Doors have opened that I know my father have opened. I've been protected, I've been guarded. Things have happened in my life, and he has shown me, he's spoken to me to remind me that I'm still here with you. I'm still here with you. So for me, it's important for us all to find that healing. And a lot of that trauma happens in our childhood. Like, we need to heal those little boys and little girls that we carry with us, and so we can become the complete people that we were put here to be. And I feel like across the diaspora, we need to collectively heal, and we'll get much further down the road.
So, inspired by a spook who sat beside the door.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies when it got re-released. A poet who sat beside the door. What would you say, and this is the last question because I think it's going to take some answering. What would you say to your father about the poet who went through the door of no return?
Oh, wow. So I know my father walked through that door with me, and I know he's proud. I know he's proud that I have the opportunity to live the dream that he was looking to live, and it's such a badge of honor to carry that carry that torch for him and for all my ancestors. To be able to come back and come back with my incredible wife Tari Teray, come back with my brothers Kudi and Chike, and have this moment of and Rachel and Ivy, our godchild, to have this moment where we're able to return home. I know he's proud, and I know he's charging me with a responsibility to continue to build, continue to grow, continue to create art like the poet who sat by the door, art that will reach the masses and touch people and inspire people and encourage people and heal people and lift people up while being entertaining and having something cool to groove to. But I know it'll also be something that would just, you know, just spark something in your spirit. And walking through that door, walking with him and my ancestors, it's an energy, it's an experience I would take with me, and make sure that I am being responsible with that beautiful opportunity. So I know he's proud, I know he's smiling, and I know at the same time he's saying keep going, like keep going. Like one of the songs on my album is called Running, and the hook says I keep on running but my feet don't get tired. And it's important that we keep running, not from, but running to our destiny, running without fear, running with love, running with passion, running with conviction, running with service, being of service to others, just running with joy in our hearts and beautiful intention to build our people here, back home, at home, and back, just continue wherever we are. So yeah, so we gonna keep running, and we gonna keep going, and I'm gonna make sure that I bring my ancestors and my city and my family and everybody. We rolling together. It's like it's time. Like we here. It's time. And I thank God for being able to be one of those who are ushering in this new energy.
So, family, from South Side to God Side.
Come on, man.
It's like a full ascension.
Yeah.
Time and a moment. Thank you for coming and sharing.
And thank you.
And allowing the people to know who you are, what you are, and also where you're going. I expect that whenever you're on the stages or wherever you are, you will carry the portal for people to be able to pass through you. You channel to them, they'll be able to pass through you to come home. And you know, that I think is the healing.
Man, I appreciate that. This I will say this real quick, it feels like here especially feels like a gateway. Feels like a gateway. So I'm gonna take that and we gonna keep passing through this gate and yeah, exploring and living and loving. Yeah. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Love you.
Love you too.
Nice.
And I got the shake. Ah.